Okay, hey, I'll freeze cracked here. It's like super muggy today, and I mean like really muggy. It's been flooding here and everything, but I haven't done any filming in a while, or videoing in a while. I thought I would a little bit. But I'm not very organized feeling. This is a warm-up rock, okay? And hitting on these steep bevels, you know, I'm supporting underneath there, make it go a little bit. I'm not trying to do too much though, because obviously I've got a lot of room to lose here, and this is bowed slightly, you can see. There's a number of things I want to mention today. One of the main things was talking about end snap and breaking stuff in half and things of that nature. When fluting, even with this stuff, with a tabular piece like this, it doesn't have any strength really across it. It only has strength in one direction, so until such time as you establish convexity on this, it doesn't have any strength. So what I'm saying is, when you go to hit on this and knock this end off, this thing will break right in half if you don't do it a certain way. And there's a couple of ways to do it. One that's the most safe, number one, is don't try and do too much. Don't try and do any big spectacular crap on the end when it's like this and all squared off. You can start somewhere else and work your way around to it and be already established zigzagging or something by the time you get there, which is fairly safe. But another thing you can do is try and support it very carefully. You can you don't have to support this whole thing across that much. You can turn this thing down and take a relatively light bopper so that it's fairly fast force. You want to initiate, you don't want to be thudding on this thing and shocking it a lot. You would like to take a quick, rapid little flake that gets into the skin and the cortex and gets things started. And so you can turn this way down, support all the way on the back and support underneath, and just hit at a very downward angle and try and wrap it around with that. An even safer way, because since this is bowed this way, you can decide which way you want to do it, but I would try and knock it off this way. An even safer way is to come in and hit on the side of it, so you're not putting the downward force on it at all. Hit on the side of it and try and break it off like that and create you an angle to come back a little bit. Or you can kind of split the baby on it, and there's a little nub sticking out there. You could knock that off if you wanted to. But you can also just take and put it on your leg and turn it an angle something like this. And that's splitting the baby because you're not really hitting straight down, and it's on your leg, so you can't put the bending forces on it. And you got your hand all around here, so it's stable. So let's try that. Bang. Told you it was my starter rock. By the way, you gotta be careful when you do that, because when you hit down on something like that, you can make it flip back and get your hand. Okay, so see, it did come off at an angle, but it did get that going. This might be one of those days where I shouldn't have videoed, but okay, so now I've got I can go this way with it a little bit. And I hit almost straight in. And that's another way that you try and prevent your end snapping, because as you can tell, there is no bending force to speak of on that. A little bit, but not much. I'm going to bring this up, raise that up, strengthen it, do another one right along that little ridge. And that one I got 2 straight up and I hinged it into it. That was down a little bit more and feathered it right to there. What I'm doing is I'm just coming up with this so I can hit back that way. And I was down even a little bit more, so you can see the first one hinged, and then the second one feathered here, and then that one just ran along there and feathered there. But I've gotten rid of some of my issues. So come back, kind of inward on that, and get rid of a little bit of it. Now, none of the strikes that I've done, except for that first one that was on the pad, are putting much downward force on it. The first one was neutralized by the pad. So that problem is more or less gone, and now you can start. You still would like to go inward quite a bit on this. You don't have to do it on your leg. You can freehand it, but you can't reach very well. And if you can't reach very well, then you can't really support it under there. You can come around the side of it. Can you see what I'm doing? Come around the side of it and hit it down in there a little bit, but that didn't do very much. That was not the way to do it, though. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But again, come down, you know, in the air. And it's not risky because the angle just isn't putting that. Didn't put the in-snap mojo on it. I mean, you can do that all day long till you run out of rock. And you can see it's getting considerably thinner. As long as you hit in flat and don't get down into where your point is, you're not really hurting anything. Although I'm just being silly a little bit at this point. Okay. You can spend a lot of time messing around with your initial reduction of a point. And if you're meticulous and want that all to just go perfect, that's one thing, but it's a waste of time in a way. Because it just didn't need it. You might say to yourself, hey, he isn't abrading. That's true. Now see, I'm not trying to go in too deep. Because all you do is just flatten it out, you'll hinge it up, and, you know, if you haven't decided what you're making yet, then if you're going to come on in and make something thin, then hinging it up doesn't matter too much. But if you were wanting to try and make something wide and flat, you don't want to create any bad contours for yourself. Anyway, if you'll notice, this is already starting to look worse. This rock is starting to look worse here than it does over here. So typical Texas rock, ideally, you know, it'd be nice to work this on down and just keep on the good side, but this is bowed, so that's not going to work very well. So I'm just going to have to get down into it. Because of the, you know, if it were flat, I could try and really work towards one side, but since it isn't, oh well. You play the hand you dealt. Anyway it goes, this rock is so much better than a lot of the stuff I work. It doesn't matter. See, I'm hitting harder on that, but it was thick and I'm at an angle where I can hit harder, drive it further, and still not be going in too flat. So I just playing the thing the way I read it. Okay, so we're cheating big time on this. You'll notice I'm supporting all along here. Can you see this big knob? That is a major problem for some, like new nappers and people don't really understand what to do here. I want to hit above the edge completely, all the way up here, and I want to hit on an unabraded. I want an unabraded edge. I'm not wanting to waste time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it way down. I'm going to support underneath like I was talking about on this end, and I'm just going to hit. I'm going to hold it all the way up here, hold it everywhere. I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to hit above that edge. Okay, you ready? And I wanted to do it at enough of a squeeze here and everything to create a little bit of a bevel. It's a flat edge and I can't hit that. So I create a little bit of bevel to where I can turn it over and then I can hit it. And I didn't do a very good job of it, but still, I can do a little. I got it enough to work. So they say, well, this it gets even squarer, so over here is worse than that was. So I'm not going to hit this. I'm going to fix it because I'm going to go ahead and tilt it down again, hit it on cortex, which is always a bad idea. But go down with that and create a better bevel. One of the reasons to abrade this is you see how low this is? What that means is that if I strike here but I miss a tiny bit and strike downward, I'm going to hit real low and it's going to fail and hinge down and kick up and put a little hinge in there. And it's no big deal, but I avoid it when I can. So hit in the middle, hit that side, hit that side. Just taking the skin off, braid a little bit, and then hit up here harder. And come in a little more aggressively there. I've got a little nub there that's not abraded now from that cut, but I'm just going to hit to the right of it a tiny bit. All I'm doing is trying to get rid of the square edge and a little bit of the cortex at the same time. It's literally all I'm doing. And you might say to yourself, well, that's not very organized and that's not very strategic or whatever, and the answer to that is that's true. But I know I'm not going to make a point this shape and size, so I don't have my sights right. Feel uncoordinated. Because it's been raining so much, I haven't napped a lot, and I also have a thing to the side of me here and everything trying to block sunlight off the floor because that always messes me up. So anyway, we're almost to the point where I say so much for the warm-up rock. I usually do all this stuff with the bigger bopper, this one, and there's no real reason that I continue using this one, except when I did that first thing I told you to go with a lighter one faster, and I just kept using it. That's too low. That's too low, so I gotta raise it up. Still too low. I think because I've just been punching on all this, I'm just going to knock the crap out of it right here. And this is exactly wrong because this is still all heavy and fat. And so hitting right here is thinning the middle before the ends, which is a horrible idea. And that's why I want to do it. So I use my bigger bopper. And because I switched to the bigger bopper, it didn't work. Didn't have enough speed. I didn't swing hard enough either. It fractured it and it went under there. You see, and it's messed up in there. And now this platform is damaged. And you can't do anything with that. You just got to get rid of it and fix it because you can see that it's damaged. Watch. Boink. Aww. It's messed up. Still messed up. Okay, now it's gone. Alright, so with that mistake, what I want to do is get this out of the way and come over here to where I can hit there. Okay? So to do that, I've got two issues. I've got a hit that needs to go here, and I really got a hit that needs to go there. So I think I'm going to do both of those things. The stuff around me is weirding me out. I'm not swinging right. Okay, so I got that, and I'm going to flip this, and I'm going to hit here. And it still looks like I need to go ahead. That's damaged though. That's not good. Okay, so I'll leave that. And I'll still continue to follow my wrong. Oh wait, I'm not either. I'm just gonna go ahead and, well, that won't work. Maybe it will. See how boogered up that right in there is? I'm gonna hit it anyway. You're like, what? So I got it higher though. I went above it and I made a thick enough flake to where it undercut that crap, which is, believe it or not, what I actually planned to do. I should have said it before I did it, so you'd believe me. But all right, one more hit. Back to this. Okay, so that time I didn't choke, and hopefully you can see what it did. See? Came all the way to there, which is called an ultra shot, and it started rippling there. You say, well, it cut off some of that. Well, yeah, but it went straight because, again, which I've said in other reductions, that if you support it correctly, it doesn't dive. So don't squeeze over any of it along there. And this is a point that I want to make real fast because it's something I was going to talk about anyway with the end snap issue. If I had taken that same hit on the end, it would have been fine, even if your thing is fairly thin, because if you can get your force going the right way, which is, you know, along the thing instead of diving and rolling into it and everything, it started to roll thin because there was a little bit of I had it like this, there was a little bit of pressure from my hand on there, and that's what it started to roll. But if you can do that the other way, it's a good thing. I don't know. I'll do one more hit and then I'll stop with this. Actually, I need to set this up a tiny bit. Okay. See what I've got here? I'm gonna take dinky little hit there, dinky little hit there, and then that'll be out of the way, and I'm gonna raise that a tiny bit, and then I'm just gonna hit one straight into it. That one, a little over more. Okay, so those things are now kind of out of the way. And then raise this a tiny bit, oops, and round off the front of it so you don't hit too low. And see, I rounded off that sharp edge down there. I like to do that. Okay, so when you don't want to end snap stuff, if you would jam it, you got to support the back edge because you got to have something to resist the force to make the flake run. And that's about it, other than support under the front edge so the flake doesn't flip down. But do not squeeze in here. Don't push in there. You can lay your finger along there or put some folded leather or something under there gently, but don't put any pressure along in here. Support back here, support right under there, and that's it. Okay? Alright. There we go. Okay, so see, it came straight in, and it rolled and feathered out, but you know, it's flat. So there was no braking type forces on the thing there. All right, so that's it on that. And I'm going to come back and hopefully make more sense. Be back.